Okay, let's dive into this. Welcome to today's Explainer, where we're going on an incredible century-long journey right into the heart of the world's biggest film industry. I mean, just picture it for a second. Breathtaking aerial drone shots soaring over the iconic Hollywood sign at sunrise, that golden morning light and cinematic lens flares washing over the palm trees, and the massive, bustling film studios of Los Angeles down below. Today, we're breaking down the timeline, the business, and the sheer magic of the cinematic empire, a century of Hollywood dominance.
Think about it. Every single year, movies produced in Hollywood are watched by literally billions of people across the globe. Its stars are recognized in almost every country on Earth, and its stories actively shape our culture, our fashion, and honestly, even our politics. But it really begs a fascinating question. How exactly did a small, pretty unassuming neighborhood in Los Angeles transform into the undisputed heavyweight capital of the global film industry? Well, that is the wildly unlikely origin story we're going to unpack today.
To make sense of it all, we've broken this explainer down into 6 clear chapters. We're going to cover escaping to the sun, the golden studio system, Hollywood conquers the globe, the digital tech revolution, the streaming era arrives, and finally, a century of dominance. We'll trace the whole evolution, from vintage silent film cameras on horse-drawn streets, all the way to modern 4K streaming right in your living room.
All right, let's start at the very beginning with Section 1, Escaping to the Sun, the birth of Hollywood. So at the dawn of the 20th century, American filmmakers had a real problem on their hands. Over on the East Coast, they were constantly battling freezing cold winters, super limited daylight for filming, and to make matters worse, incredibly strict patent restrictions imposed by Thomas Edison's Motion Picture Patents Company. It was just a totally stifling environment. So what did these pioneering creators do? Well, they fled west. They packed up and relocated from New York to Southern California. Out west, they found year-round sunshine, incredibly diverse landscapes for basically any kind of story, and the absolute ideal conditions to shoot all year long. Almost overnight, sunny Hollywood became the permanent home for this rapidly exploding industry.
Which brings us to our next chapter, Section 2, the golden studio system, building the empire.
Once these filmmakers settled in the sun, things scaled up incredibly fast. Throughout the 1920s and 1930s, a handful of major studios completely transformed Hollywood into this industrial filmmaking powerhouse. We're talking about the legendary names you still see before the opening credits today, right? Paramount Pictures, Warner Bros., Metro-Goldwyn-Mayer or MGM, 20th Century Fox, and Universal Pictures. These companies built massive, sprawling studio backlots. You can practically imagine the scene. Massive sound stages going up, directors shouting action, crews meticulously operating these beautiful vintage cameras, and actors in glamorous Golden Age costumes walking onto elaborate, perfectly crafted sets. But the real secret sauce? How did they actually manage this massive output? It was all thanks to something called the studio system. This was a highly structured, almost factory-like business model. Actors, directors, and writers didn't just hop from job to job like freelancers do today. They signed exclusive, long-term contracts with these major studios. And because the studios controlled basically every single part of the movie production process, from the initial script to the final edit room, they were able to churn out high-quality films at a pace the world had never seen before. With that incredibly powerful engine running, the industry naturally set its sights outward. Let's look at Section 3, Hollywood conquers the globe, the Golden Age and beyond. Tracing the evolution from the 1930s through the 1950s, we step right into Hollywood's Golden Age. This was the era of elegant premieres, red carpets, flashing cameras, stunning Art Deco theaters and dazzling marquees. Movies like Gone with the Wind, Casablanca, and The Wizard of Oz absolutely captivated audiences. But as we move along into the post-World War II era, you really start to see American films reaching deep into Europe, Asia, Latin America, and beyond. English-language movies became much easier to export, and thanks to the rise of television, international distribution, and global marketing, Hollywood evolved from just an American industry into an unstoppable international cultural force. And this golden age wasn't just about good storytelling. It was fundamentally defined by massive artistic and technical milestones. We're talking about the introduction of revolutionary color films, the absolute magic of synchronized sound, where dialogue and sweeping orchestral scores perfectly match the visuals, and early groundbreaking practical special effects. Because of these incredibly immersive, larger-than-life experiences, the actors on screen were elevated from mere performers to bona fide global celebrities and household names.
Ultimately, that global reach paved the way for the modern era of the worldwide franchise. Titles like Star Wars, Jurassic Park, Harry Potter, Marvel, and Avatar. Let's be real, these aren't just movies, they are monumental, shared global events. Thanks to a well-oiled international distribution machine, these franchises consistently dominate the worldwide box office, drawing millions of diverse viewers from all around the world into the exact same cinematic story. But to maintain that kind of absolute dominance, Hollywood couldn't just rely on its old tricks. That leads us right into Section 4, the digital tech revolution, embracing the future. Hollywood has always relentlessly embraced new technology. It really started with step 1, intricate practical effects, film strips moving rapidly through physical projectors, and synchronized sound on those large studio lots. Then, they boldly stepped into step 2, computer-generated imagery, enlisting incredibly talented CGI artists to fundamentally transform what could be shown on screen. And today, well, we are firmly in step 3, utilizing wildly advanced digital cameras, motion capture performers in specialized suits, green screen stages, and robotic drones filming sweeping, blockbuster scenes in breathtaking 4K HDR. We can really see this evolution by looking at a few specific CGI milestones. I mean, when Jurassic Park brought extinct dinosaurs back to life alongside real actors, it changed everything. The Matrix totally revolutionized slow-motion sequences and visual effects, creating entirely digital worlds. And Avatar, it pushed motion capture and 3D rendering to absolute artistic limits. With ultra-realistic textures, volumetric lighting, and advanced sound design pouring out of high-end post-production suites, these films continuously raise the bar, pushing the blockbuster experience to new, awe-inspiring heights. Yet, interestingly enough, the most recent monumental disruption didn't happen on a movie set. It happened in distribution. Section 5. The streaming era arrives. A new digital landscape. Over the last decade or so, the rapid rise of streaming services has basically changed Hollywood all over again. Just look at the titans dominating this space: Netflix, Disney+, Amazon Prime Video, Apple TV+, and Max. These companies aren't just hosting old movies in a catalog, they completely disrupted the traditional studio model. They began aggressively producing their own high-budget original films and series, featuring that exact same teal and orange blockbuster aesthetic and world-class, Hollywood-quality storytelling. What this really represents for you and me is a massive shift in access. Audiences can now watch premium, blockbuster entertainment, stuff that was once exclusively reserved for massive IMAX-style theaters, directly from home on their smart TVs. The industry was totally forced to adapt to this new digital era, merging the century-old tradition of grand cinematic storytelling with the on-demand, instant convenience of modern technology. As we look back on everything we've discovered, it brings us to our final summary. Section 6, A Century of Dominance, Why Hollywood Remains Number 1. When you distill it all down, Hollywood's endearing, century-long success relies on a very specific, highly refined formula. It's the combination of massive production budgets, world-class storytelling that somehow resonates universally, the constant integration of cutting-edge tech to create visual masterpieces, a sprawling global marketing and distribution network, and of course, the ongoing draw of iconic actors and visionary filmmakers. This completely unique blend of art and industry is exactly what has kept them at the absolute top of the global entertainment food chain for over 100 years. Hollywood is ultimately way more than just a geographic location in Los Angeles. From silent black and white classics to billion-dollar CGI blockbusters, it's really a symbol of imagination and continuous reinvention. But as we imagine a modern aerial view of that LA skyline at sunset, we kind of have to ask a fascinating question. With streaming bringing cinema directly into every single home worldwide, will Hollywood remain a physical place, or has it truly become a state of mind? One thing is for sure. Its journey proves that great storytelling has the extraordinary power to cross borders, languages, and generations. Thank you so much for joining me for this explainer, and keep exploring the stories that shape our world.